sexy babes. Welcome back to the vibes. If you are new here, I am Key and this is your safe space. I just had something on my mind I wanted to talk about real quick. Nothing crazy. But have you ever sat back and thought about why is it so easy for us to forgive others and it's so hard for us to forgive ourselves, right? Just think about it. When is the last time you forgave yourself for something? A lot of us might know that answer, but a lot of us might not. And that's okay, because I feel like it's human nature for us to be our worst critics. You know, we're our hardest on ourselves. And that can be a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. I was talking to chat earlier and I asked the same question, you know, why is it so easy for us to forgive others but not ourselves? And it said a lot, but one thing that it said was we hold ourselves to a certain standards that we don't with others. And that makes a lot of sense. We're so quick to, you know, be understanding of people's situations, remind ourselves people are human, people go through things, you know what I'm saying? So we always find a way to be understanding and to give grace for other people. But why don't we do it for ourselves? We're human as well. We go through things ourselves. We're not perfect. But it's because we feel like we should know better. We feel like, of course, I know myself. So, you know, I should know better not to do these things. But at the end of the day, us as beings, we make mistakes. We make mistakes and it's human and, you know, it's natural. And I think giving ourselves grace is something that needs to be practiced a lot more often, especially as we grow older, because, you know, as we grow older in our journeys, we begin to reflect, rediscover, relearn, we're healing, we're growing, we're trying to figure out our life, you know, all the things. And giving ourselves grace is something that should definitely be practiced a lot more often. And I'm speaking to myself as well. You know, I feel like forgiving ourselves is something, you know, ultimately I think it comes down to treating ourselves the way we treat others. You know, we have to treat ourselves as a close friend, as a best friend, as a safe space, you know. I feel like if we treat ourselves like we would treat a friend, best friend, family member, it would be a lot easier to forgive ourselves for things, for making mistakes. You know, something that I had to forgive myself recently for is I had to forgive myself for not knowing what I know now back then. You know, we are constantly evolving. We're constantly growing. We're healing. Like I said, we're rediscovering ourselves. And when we made mistakes in the past, we were a completely different version of ourselves than we are in the present moment. So I have to forgive myself for just doing what I did back then with the information that I had and that I knew. And I had to give myself grace for that, you know, because I'm a different version of myself now than I was back then. I know better now, so therefore I will do better. You know what I'm saying? Something else I had to forgive myself on was not allowing myself to be human. You know, I have this perfectionist type of mindset, which I'm trying to manage and get better with, you know, allowing myself to make mistakes. Give myself grace. You know, I've always put so much pressure on myself with being a perfect sibling, a perfect daughter, a perfect student, a perfect dance mate, a perfect captain, a perfect girlfriend, all these things, a perfect friend, all these things. I try to be so perfect at, but I'm human. I'm human. And I used to beat myself up for making mistakes or not saying the right thing or not showing up in the way that someone else wanted me to show up, you know? And I really had to sit back and forgive myself for just not allowing me to be human. I'm a human being. Just like I gave everybody else grace, I have to give myself grace. So if you're watching this, just ask yourself, when is the last time I forgave myself? What should I be forgiving myself for? I have a lot more things that I have forgiven myself for as I've been, you know, trying to heal and grow and everything. And I feel like I could do that on a separate video, just to talk about that in general on my personal journey. But yeah, ask yourself that question and really sit back and reflect and think about it. And, you know, as you continue to grow and as time moves on and you're in a more elevated and understanding of yourself type of mindset, then it will just kind of come naturally for you to be able to forgive yourself for certain things that's happened. I'm here to remind you that you are deserving of forgiveness. You deserve to forgive yourself. You deserve to give yourself grace, and you deserve to be gentle with the past versions of you that might not know what you know now. Okay, those past versions of you might have not have known better. You know, they did what they did with what they had and what they knew at the time. And that's called being human. Treat yourself like your best friend. And I've been doing that a lot lately, and I promise you, as the days go on, it'll be easier to be easy on yourself. I think we have to realize too that all versions of ourselves are a part of the plan. This version of yourself that you're in now is going to change. It's going to evolve. You know, as long as you keep rediscovering, learning, and pouring into yourself. All versions of you are necessary. They're a part of your testimony, a part of the journey. You can't get to this version of yourself without going through these versions of yourself. You know what I mean? All right, so to end this video, we are going to end with this affirmation. I forgive myself for the version of me that was simply trying to survive, cope, or figure things out. Let's digest that. Inhale. We are going to forgive ourselves moving forward for the versions of us that were trying to survive, cope, and figure things out. Because once we know better, we do better. Don't let nobody steal your smile or your joy. I love y'all. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to your safe space. Mwah. See y'all next vibe. Bye.